Good morning. Welcome to Mornings with Michael for information and educational purposes only. Let's get to our show. Our word of the day is frangible. Frangible is our word of the day, which is brittle, fragile. Make sure to mark the box containing frangible items with a fragile sticker. So there we go, our word of the day. We're going to share some top 5 stocks in a few different categories today. Let's go to our charts. Before we do that, let's go back here. Let's look at where our heat map is today. Here's our heat map. Let's refresh this. Make sure it is the most current. Microsoft is pulling back a little bit. Apple is down. Yeah, some of the tech stocks are pulling back today. Financials are up. We've got a lot of green here. Consumers, Google and Meta are up for the day. Industrials are up. Utilities, basic materials. That is a story there. If you have worked a lifetime building up your wealth and don't want to lose it like what happened in 2008, let me just pull up this screen. There are a number of places that you can boost your retirement by 30 to 45% bonus. You never lose money, goes up, up, and up, does not come back down. So it beats index investing by about 5%. If you want to learn more about that, feel free to contact me. Let's go back to our charts. So here's the S&P 500 is up slightly today, up a little over 1%. Look at the dollar index. It's up slightly. Silver was really up yesterday, pulling back slightly. Gold pulling back to the 20. Arrow is pulling back as well. See if it develops a handle. Southern Copper. So it looks like it's getting close to the 10. CX, Freeport McMoran is actually up today. Vale, our issue down in Miner in Brazil, gapping up today, up 1.67%. Is definitely working on a bottoming base here as it clears the 50-day moving average. Rio is up as well, and BHP, our miner in Australia. Look at it, we got a gap up. Cleared 2 moving lines, one above the 10 and the 20, and is trying to clear the 50. Ethereum got a little bit of a bounce, up 0.67%. And Bitcoin is kind of bouncing around, is up slightly, 0.66%. MicroStrategy is up 1.26%, was up to 12.93 earlier this morning, pulling back to 12.84. So that is our story with that. Let's go to our bond yields. Pulling back. They continue the pullback. Look at this. They came crashing through the 10-day to the 20-day. See if they get to the 50-day, and then there's a 200. Down to 4.44% yield. The 20-year, big gap down to the 200-day, down nearly 2%. We looked at the S&P 500. The equal weight S&P is up 0.39%. The Nasdaq is up slightly. The equal weight Nasdaq is up a little bit less than the Dow Jones. is up slightly, and then the small caps could be doing pretty well with the yield coming back. They're up 0.64%. So that's the story there. Now let's move on to take a look some of the top issues. So the Nasdaq 100, this is on Patreon. Top 5 stocks. Constellation Energy continues to drive forward. This is definitely a box. Breaking out of the box right here. My box is a little crooked. Forgive me, but it's up 1.47 with up. Got our volume up 22%. Second one is NVIDIA. Big pullback there and a big bounce. Look at that though. It's up down almost 1%, but it was down much further earlier. I think it was somebody's earnings that kind of spooked the market a little bit. DoorDash. DoorDash has fallen after they are added to the list. Interesting. Down 2.14%. Micron Technologies. Working on a cut base. Got a gap up here, and it's holding kind of steady. And the final one is KLA 10 Core. Also in the semiconductors, is holding steady right there. Before we go on, let's take a look at what the inner workings of the S&P 500 financials. Moving up, got this kind of interesting base right there. Wells Fargo Corporation continues to lead. It has some really tight closes right here. It's hugging that 60-day line. We got JP Morgan. Soon to be 2 leaders in financials. Communications is going to be moving up with both Google and Meta up today. Google, yeah, that's kind of a upper breakout. It gapped up, pulled back here, trying to get back up to where, yeah, it looks like it's above the bottom of that gap up. That looks good. Meta had this really big gap down, and it's really moving on up here. It's now up to the 20-day line. We'll see if it has a pullback. That's what usually happens when the 20-day line is above the price. Utilities. Wow, they just continue driving forward at 0.57%. Real estate actually pulled back yesterday, which was a surprise, and it is bouncing today. What a nice move, up 1.15%. Semiconductors, pretty flat from yesterday. Infrastructure, up slightly. Biotech is up. Holding kind of steady there. A little bit of a pullback in the other ETF. We've got software holding steady. Technology moving on up, just ever so slightly up 0.12%. Home builders, slight pullback, interesting. Metals and mining is moving up. Looks like it's trying to get back into the breakout area where it breaks out of this box area. So, and we have a position in Fangyu. and slight pullback, almost 1%. So let's get back. Here's the Russell 2000 top 5 installed building products. Pulling back below the 50-day right here. Tenet Healthcare. Look at that move. Wow. It just is driving forward. Badger Meter. Looks very similar. Huge drive on earnings. Earnings were up 50%, 99 cents, and it is just roaring higher. Hibbett. Is up 0.02%. Looks like they got a cash offer to buy the company out. Texas Roadhouse. Down 0.5% after the earnings came in 32%. Onto the Magic Formula. Top 5, Collegiate Pharmaceuticals. Working on the right side of a base. Pull back here after this big move on earnings last time. Earnings in 2 days. Earnings were up 45%. We'll just have to see what it does. Up 1.46%, trying to get above the 50-day. We're on to Crocs. The shoe area seems to be moving. Skechers was the big one last week, a big gap up. On. It's holding up, trying to work on a base. Gulfport Energy is the next one in the Magic Formula. Holding steady, up 0.8%. Build-A-Bear Workshop is actually pulling back. Earnings, I think, are coming up. Yes, 16 days. And Mueller and Industries. Breaking out, up 1.86%. Had a little bit of a pullback to the 10-day, and it's moving on up again. So what are the top 5 AI stocks? NVIDIA is number 1. Number 2, and VSnet is number 2. Holding steady there. Number 3 is Canton Limited. I typed the wrong symbol. Look at this move. Wasn't quite a double bottom, but it needs to break out of this box area. Down 0.54% today. Qualcomm, I'm not sure this is really an AI, but it got put in this symbol. We are into Qualcomm. We bought it at 177. And then finally Snap had some pretty good earnings this last quarter, gapped up. And they continue climbing, trying to clear this box here. Earnings were up 200%. And we'll look at the rest of these tomorrow on our Wednesday show. So that's the story there. Let's just take a look at what we're currently trading. We looked at MicroStrategy. We have a bear put, bullish put option on this one. We went negative the 1285 and went positive the 1280. It's just holding around that level. It expires in 2 weeks. We'll see how that works out. Got a little bit of a pullback in Celsius today, bounce back. It's pretty close to where it was. So that's not too bad. And then we got Elf Beauty. Holding right about where it was yesterday. Kava. Look at that liftoff. Kava is up 2% today. Speaking of lifting off, lift. Got a little bit of a pullback. We have call option shorted 20 up here, so we'll see where that goes. Maybe we just roll that forward. Earnings are after the close today. Looking at TNN. Got a little cup, little handle here. See if it can take off. We're short the 250 on this one. We just put on CrowdStrike today. You'll like what CrowdStrike, it's our stock of the day. But this pullback to 280.88 comes back above the 50-day moving average yesterday. Had a little bit of a pullback to the 50 this morning and is popping. Still have the spread on AVAV, 180, 185. Another account that we're looking at, we put on FTAI stocks there. Put it on this day, so it's moved up nicely. Also put on Howmet in that same account. Howmet just continues moving on up. And the other one was AVAV, which we just showed. A-Lab we put on yesterday, got a little bit of a pullback day to the 20-day. See how if that holds up. Down 3%. RTX moved up nicely today after a look at all this tight action, riding right along the 10 and 20-day moving average. We'll get a little pop up here. This is one of our favorite areas. This really tight and VSP kind of look, volatility contraction pattern. Actually, VCP. Here's Qualcomm. I believe we looked at that in our top 5 AI. I'm going to look at 4 in APO, and then we'll close up our show for today. We'll see if 4 is able to start a bottoming base here, kind of hit bottom over here, right around 60. We have the 6250 option on it, not till July. And finally, APO hollow, and kind of in the financial planning area. Owns this company Athene. They're up 1.46%. We put this on at 111, and that's our show for today. This is Mornings with Michael for information and educational purposes only. We'll be back tomorrow with a look at our second half of the top 5 stocks in each category. Hope everybody has a great day. Go out there and keep working on your goals and your activities, and we'll be here to support. If you have any questions about your financial goals or activities, feel free to send us a comment, and we'll be there to support you. Have a great day.